Hi everyone. Little bit of a change to the advertised episode today. Um, Katie's not very well, who was going to be on the episode with me today. So yeah, she hasn't been very well for a couple of days. She was hoping to obviously be a little bit better, but unfortunately she isn't, and she is actually going to be away later on this week, so hopefully fingers crossed she's feeling a little bit better later on in the week and gets away on holiday. So sending get well wishes to Katie, and hopefully we'll be able to reschedule and have her on in a few weeks when she's feeling better. So unfortunately you've just got me this evening. I did sort of think about having, I'm just going to move my glasses up and, no, actually, I'm not, because I don't actually like how I look without my glasses on. I did actually think about having a little bit of a rejig and seeing if I could rearrange some of the guests and move one of the guests forward. But instead, what I've thought about doing is just actually doing a solo episode this evening and having a little bit of a chat about something that has been on my mind a little bit recently, and that is the power of community within the sewing group, like the sewing community. And I think that's been really prevalent quite a bit recently. There's been quite a few things that I have seen in not only my group that's Grumpy has just given me the thumbs up to say that he can hear me. Or actually, hopefully I'll pop my mic on. Does that make me a little bit clearer? Give me the thumbs up if that is actually a little bit clearer, because that hopefully should be my proper mic. Yeah, so hopefully I did actually want to chat a little bit about just the power of community. I have seen loads of things lately in a lot of the Facebook groups that is just really showing a really great sense of community that I think sewing and crafting in general just really brings out a sense of community in all. And yeah, I just thought let's just chat about that and really celebrate the sense of community. So I really got back into sewing in general after the pandemic, and I obviously got back into sewing because of the PPE crisis. And let's just do a little few hellos. So Donna's saying evening and Kathy's saying good evening. Obviously that's Grumpy saying he can hear and is also saying good evening. And Donna's saying the sewing crafting community is usually kind and helpful. Yes, usually. There's very, very few that aren't. Eileen saying evening all. Elaine saying hi. And Sue saying good evening, Deborah and everyone. So let me know if you can hear me. I'm just double checking that my mic is working and that you can hear me all right, because we do know that my technology does like to sometimes fail. And Melanie saying hi. We do actually have Melanie on in a few weeks' time. I'll chat a little bit about that in a moment. Elaine saying she can hear me. And Donna's saying, I do a lot of events by myself, and with health issues, I often need assistance from my stall neighbours. Yes, that's one thing. Grumpy saying the sound is all good. That's fantastic. Yeah, I see that quite a bit. If I don't often do sort of events where I sell, but I do like to go to events where people sell craft things. And that's one thing that I do see a lot, is people really helping each other out if people need to nip to the loo, if they need to go and get a drink. Yeah, I'll watch your stall while you go to the loo. I'll see people helping each other set each other up. I'll see people really bigging each other up as well. If somebody's not sure what to sell something at, or if they're, really not feeling very confident in what they're selling. Like, yeah, I love seeing that. Tracy's saying, evening, sorry I'm late, dog throwing up. Oh no, Tracy, I hope your dog's okay, and I hope it's nothing serious. Katrina's saying hello from Greece. Oh wow, I think that might be the first person that we've had from Greece, and I'm sure your weather is better than ours today, or better than mine. Eileen's saying she can hear me. So yeah, I really got back into sewing sort of through the pandemic. Obviously, we all know that the PPE was a real sort of crisis. We were very serious in lacking in PPE, and obviously as sewers that is something that we could really help with, and utilize our skills in helping out. And the community really came to the forefront, not only in rallying our sewing skills, but helping each other to sort of reignite those sewing skills. People who hadn't sewn for quite a while, helping each other relearn those sewing skills online, through Facebook groups or through Zoom, getting online and helping each other, even just relearning how to like rethread a sewing machine, put a needle in, those sorts of things. Organising, distributing fabric. Grumpy, was dropping off fabric in places that he didn't even know existed. Picking up scrubs that were then made and dropping them off in places. Dropping off fabric with people who were isolating and picking up scrubs from people who had made them, who were isolating or shielding, who weren't going out. And one of the things that I noticed that was happening at that time in doing those sorts of things, and I became part of a group, and I'm sure these groups were all over the country, and I know that they were because I saw them online. And people were shielding, people were isolating, but they still wanted to be involved in what was going on. And people were dropping off fabric, and whether that was donated bed linen, or whether it was fabric that was being donated, or whether it was being bought by money that was being raised, people were coming together and even asking questions about whether people needed milk picking up, or bread picking up and dropping off at the same time that this fabric was being dropped off, or whether they needed things dropping off at the same time as when they were picking up scrubs that these people had made at the same time. And that to me was so powerful, and that I really saw a massive sense of community at that time. And that really to me brought about that sense of community from the sewing community. And like I'm saying, I'm sure it comes about in other crafting communities, and I still think that really shines through. And I'm sure people will probably agree with me that kindness that comes through from the friendships that get forged because of our love of the same hobby, and those friendships that come together because we all love doing the same thing. And I think probably because I really sort of came back into sewing through that time. I'd sort of dabbled in it a little bit, but I didn't really sort of massively get back into sewing until the pandemic hit, mainly because I didn't have the time. I sort of found that really powerful. Donna's saying, I was shielding for almost 18 months and my husband still had to go to work. Wow, that must have been really isolating, Donna. Like, I kind of like couldn't work because of the pandemic. Like, I wasn't, like, my job, I wasn't allowed to work, which was, why I kind of did sew scrubs for the vast majority of the time. Like, and it was my sanity, to be fair. Like, I couldn't, like, I didn't know what to do with myself, so yeah, it was my salvation, if I'm completely honest with you. I think I would have gone absolutely crazy. And it was probably Andy's salvation as well, because I think I would have driven him absolutely insane. I probably did drive him absolutely insane, sending him all over the place, picking up fabric and dropping off scrubs, because we actually hadn't we'd lived here about a year. When me and Andy met, we actually lived about 17, 18 miles from each other, and we'd only actually lived together about a year, just over a year, when the pandemic hit. So yeah, he was being sent all over the place, picking stuff up, dropping stuff off. And where we live isn't actually the easiest to navigate either. It's just roundabouts all over the place. So yeah, I don't think I was his favourite person. It wasn't the easiest thing to do. So yeah, I don't think I was his friend, but it probably was easier than being stuck in the house absolutely constantly with me and the sewing machine. I did blow the electrics quite a few times with one of the sewing machines that I was using at the time. So yeah, I did have to switch over to another sewing machine. So yeah, so that, I think that was probably one of the first experiences that I had of how the sewing community is such a powerful thing, and obviously online um, is such a big thing, especially for me, is such a big thing. So Donna says, I'd only just launched my pick and mix button when lockdown hit a few days before. What would have been my biggest ever event, and it's still not been revived as of yet. Oh, Donna, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, it was such a big thing for so many people. I mean, for some people it was the best thing, and for other people it was just the worst. Yeah, it wasn't yeah, it was absolutely awful. I mean, obviously online, for community wise, it can, like, community for sewing such a solitary hobby, and it can be so isolating, and it can be quite a lonely hobby to do. We're kind of shut away wherever, wherever we're so, like, I realize I am extremely fortunate to have the space that I have to sew. Obviously when I suggested to obviously he wasn't my husband then, that I have this space to set out my sewing machines, that, I'm very, very lucky to have the space that I sew in. But wherever we sew, it can be very, very isolating hobby. It's not like we go and, take our golf clubs and do it together. We don't we don't go and run together. We don't, we sit on our own and we sew. So it can be so isolating. So having the communities online, it's so amazing that we can have these spaces to communicate together, connect, make friendships. And I just think, the internet can be an awful place. There's some very, very awful sectors of the internet, but it can be so powerful too. And I think there's pockets of it that we have that can be amazing. Let's go back to some of the comments here. Tracy, I find people like yourself give isolated sewers without a community a lifeline. Oh, Tracy, that's lovely. Right, I'm going to move on before I cry, because Grumpy will go, oh my god, she's going to cry. I was in hospital for 3 weeks during the first lockdown having a stem cell transplant. But as soon as I was able, I started making bags for the nurses for their uniform. Oh, Sue, that's lovely. And I'm sure they so appreciated it. Okay, right. What's Grumpy got to say? It was an isolating time for many who then found a community within the sewn world, and the kindness of people in the community became very obvious to myself as an outsider. That is very, very true. And to be fair, I do remember Andy making comments like that at the time. And I was worried about what he was going to say, to be fair. I normally go and sew with my mum. That was the thing I missed most. Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that for a lot of people. Sue, sewing kept me sane during that time. I absolutely agree with that, Sue. It did the same for me too. Sheila, I hope I pronounced that right, Sheila. My partner dropped off scrubs for sewing up and collected them delivered to the GPs, care homes and district nurses. With my friend, we cut out over 500 sets. Wow. For 2 groups. I was still working. Wow. And my place was full of fabrics and sets of scrubs for ages. Wow, that's amazing. Well done, Sheila. Katrina. 10 years ago, after retiring, I met a group of quilters and exhibited in Athens. Wow, and ever since I was hooked. Many friendships arose, and we all helped each other during the lockdown. That's amazing. Yeah. And I think it's true, like obviously, this is, called the Bag Maker Society, but I think, it's sewing, and I'm directing this at any type of sewing or crafting. But yeah, I think, like I was saying, the internet can be awful, but we're not going to concentrate on any of the awful parts of the internet or anything like that tonight. It can be such a powerful and positive place, and it can spring up communities that can really bring together people that would never ever meet. I've got people who I've connected with that I would never ever have met, but I've also got people who I know who live around the corner from me that I can now meet in person that I would never have met. Like I can meet them in person now, but I wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for the internet, and I probably wouldn't have met them actually if it wasn't for the pandemic, but that's another story. So it's amazing. It's fantastic. Oh god, yeah, that is so funny. Right, I'm going to tell you this story. And yeah, I'm going to just think about how I'm going to tell this story because I don't want to offend anybody. So during the lockdown, obviously we were all making scrubs, and quite quickly we ran out of the polycotton, so we're making them out of bedding and what have you. And we have a lovely couple who live out of the back of our houses, and we were chatting with them over the fence, and I was telling her what I was doing, and she was like, oh, I'll buy you some bedding. And I was like, you don't have to do that, but if you really want to, that's fine. And it wasn't that fabric, it was donated fabric. Sorry, that's another story. So yeah, it was donated fabric, and it was Care Bear fabric, and I made a couple of pairs of scrubs out of this Care Bear fabric, and I didn't think about the placement of the arm of one of the Care Bears. And it wasn't until I was taking a picture of one of the sets of scrubs until I realised that the placement of the arm of one of the Care Bears looked like a part of anatomy of a man. And I'll let you work that one out. I was trying to think about how I could word that without it being too rude. Yeah, so I had to sort of then, because obviously a lot of the Care Bear things were then going to be donated, like children's awards and stuff. So sort of like, you might want to think about who you give that to. So Tracy found it funny. Thanks, Tracy. But yeah, it kind of goes with my sense of humour. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I think I tried that one on actually and modelled it. You know, you had to lighten the mood back then, and you know, who doesn't want to model the male part of the anatomy for a little bit of comedic value? So yeah, I mean, I hope I did lighten the mood. Yeah, I did. I'm sure I've got a picture on my phone somewhere. But yeah, the lovely lady out the back did actually go and buy some, because I was sort of saying, well, you know, we're struggling for some materials by that point, and she went and bought some cotton fabrics and like cotton quilts and gave me them, and I literally ended up with some scraps, like tiny little bits, and it was as we were sort of starting to come out of the first lockdowns, and she was sort of saying she was hoping to be able to start and think about booking a holiday, and I made her an NCW out of the very, very last scraps of fabric for her to be able to take on holiday with her. So, right. Where did I get to? So, Mel. Did you make bags before lockdown? Yeah, I did. I was making for, I'd got into bags probably about 5 years, 4 years before lockdown. But I was kind of doing it around my job, which was really demanding and really stressful. So I didn't really get much time to do it. So my skills massively improved during lockdown. I discovered the bag making after the quilting, and I can't stop. Once you pop, you can't stop. Any kind of bag, pouch, and wallet, etc. I even created a Facebook page on bag making. Oh, Katrina, will you post a link and I'll go and follow you, because I love to follow lots of pages. Oh, let me just restart my camera. My camera decides to cut me off every now and then. Melanie, I learned to sew clothes during COVID. Melanie, your clothes are amazing. Like, I need to come down and basically invite myself to your house for a little while, and you can teach me some some dressmaking skills, because your dressmaking skills are amazing. So, and I feel like I can do that because we've met each other in real life. So I just feel like I can invite myself to come and stop at your house, and you can teach me some dressmaking skills. But you know, I'll return the favour. You can come and stay here for a little bit, and we can sew in my sewing room, and we can make bags. So you know, we'll do a swap. So Donna says, my good friends now all from the crafting community met at various fairs and events. I think I would have been more affected by the isolation. Yeah. That's Tracy laughing at my Care Bear. That's Grumpy saying I did take a picture. That's Sue laughing at my Care Bear. Tracy's only started bag making last year. Wow. Donna, it's funny how we measure time before BC and time after BC. Absolutely. Sylvia, I bought my first embroidery machine before COVID. Wow. Okay. So that's amazing. Amazing. So again, I know Sylvia in real life, IRL. And Sylvia makes some amazing embroidery items that and I know Sylvia's going to post in the comments and go, no, I don't. She absolutely does. She's so talented. Like, she's so good. So that's unreal. Like, that just in the space of a short few years, that you just bought your first embroidery machine then, and that you're making. And I'm assuming, Sylvia, that comes from having that community. You're not just a beginner. I knew you'd say that in the comments. I absolutely knew you'd say that in the comments. So I'm sure it comes from the community, that you've joined groups and you've sort of found your tribe, and you've learned from people, you've asked questions, you've probably used lots of YouTube groups and stuff like that as well. But you've been able to sort of consume that that sort of knowledge because people have been so kind to sort of give it. And that's why I'm so passionate about community. And I do. I get so sort of, I go on about community so much, and I get so sort of, like I say, passionate about it. And driven. I'm so driven by community all the time. Oh, Mel says I'm invited. You all heard it. It's there in black and white. We just need to make it happen. There we go. Sylvia says I'm just a beginner. Tracy says, do you do embroidery, Deb? I dabble. Time for me is the kicker. I'm time poor. I do have an embroidery machine. It's kind of over there. I don't get to use it much. Every now and then I kind of think of selling it because it sits there, and yeah, I don't get to use it very often. I need to kind of try and carve out more time to do it, but it's, yeah, watch this space, we'll see. Sylvia says it's pattern designers that are clever. They are very clever, and I think once you find pattern designers that patterns that you like, once you've experimented, my hair's a bit wild again today, you experiment with different pattern designers and you find the ones that you like, and again, the community that surrounds the pattern designers that you like, you keep going back to them, and when they have new patterns out, you're drawn to them. So yeah. But Arlene says hello from New York City. Oh, I love New York. I've been twice. Once with a friend, 2017, and once with my daughter, 2019. It was just amazing, and I loved the experience with my daughter the best. I loved going the first time because it was awesome to see everything the first time and experience it the first time. But I loved going the second time with my daughter and seeing it through her eyes, seeing her see it for the first time. It was just amazing. I just loved it. If I could experience seeing her see it again for the first time, I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Bag making retreat at yours there. Yeah, if I could squeeze you all in, Donna, no bother. Sue says, I love my embroidery machine, especially in the hoop designs. I think what it is with me, Sue, as well, I'm a little bit scared of it, and because I don't have the time to sit and kind of figure it out, I just kind of go, oh, I'll do something else. So I need to kind of, yeah, find the time. Donna says, I am a pattern hoarder, got so many patterns, I probably won't make them all. Oh, you and me both, Donna. Not so much embroidery, but bag making patterns. Oh my word, I'm like a magpie. Pattern design, patterns, fabric, and sewing machines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that all the ones that I've got, Andy? Have I got 6? Have I got any more? Is that right? Have I got 6? I did get rid of quite a few, didn't I? You'll tell us if I've got any more that I forgot about. And Andy's in the other room. That's why I'm like going, Andy. Yeah, he's in the other room. Arlene's saying awesome. Or Arlene's saying, hope you went to the Garment District. I did. I went to the Garment District the second time. I went to Mood. I've got a bag down there. I've got the bag. I went to Mood. I did restrict myself. Obviously, I had to carry it back. But I went to Mood. It was fab. Julie says, I have started sewing again after a long time and have been so inspired by this community. Oh, thank you, Julie. That means a lot. It's so supportive and encouraging, which makes a lovely change, as so many hobbies have a competitive edge. Yeah, yeah. When I started my community, actually kind of really before I started the business, like they actually weren't meant to go together, which is actually why they have separate names, but that's another story. And when I started the Facebook group, which has the same name as the podcast because it's about community, I didn't want to gatekeep. I didn't want it to be, oh, you can only post about this and you can't post about that and you can't post about the other and you can't post about anything. I didn't want it to be like that. I want people to be able to come and post about whatever questions they had. Whatever patterns, whatever this, whatever that, whatever the other. As long as you're kind, and as long as the only rules really that I have in my community are only offer constructive criticism if it's asked. If you have a thought about somebody's bag, unless it's asked for, don't offer it. And it goes without saying, be kind. And that's it. I've got a business. I've got a bag making supply business, but if you've bought something from somewhere and you want to shout about it, then shout about it. It's fine. I'm okay about that. There's plenty to go around, and I just wanted somewhere that people could come and talk about something that they were passionate about. So I just wanted a community. I just so wanted somewhere that people could come and just really be involved about what they loved, and I really hope that that's what it is. And when I have comments like this one from Julie, that just, yeah, it makes my heart full, because that's really, really what I'm passionate about. So you will sometimes, when people aren't like that in there, and it doesn't happen very often. I mean, I can probably count on one hand, off the top of my head, I can think of 3 incidences where people haven't been like that, and I do shut them down pretty quickly. So yeah, and that's why I do shut them down pretty quickly, because I am really passionate about people not being not nice. If that makes, is that even a thing, not being not nice? But yeah, but anyway, back to your comment. It's so supportive and encouraging, which makes a lovely change, as so many hobbies have a competitive edge. Yeah. So right, back to Sylvia. So Sylvia has thousands of embroidery designs and bag patterns are catching up. Yeah, I've seen Sylvia's embroidery. It's on a laptop. They're massive. There's loads. Sue says, I use some embroidery designs on some of my bags. Good plan. Sylvia says, me too. Arlene says, mood is amazing. It's fantastic. And it so wasn't what I was expecting. Like, I was expecting this big, huge shop front, but it's like going into an office building, isn't it? It's so strange. But I think when you're from a certain place, like obviously I'm from the UK, you expect everything to be like it is in the UK, and it's not always like that. But it is. It's like going into an office building, and you go in and there's a concierge, and you go upstairs in a lift, and it's mad. Sue says, I need to stop buying bag patterns. C1, love it, must buy. Don't know when I'm going to sew them all. I think we're all the same, Sue. Bag pattern anonymous. Donna, it's nice when designer groups don't restrict posts to just see their stuff. Yeah, I mean, I do get it when designers make it so that it's just their patterns. I do kind of get that, because it's how do I put it? It could be like a free for all, and the designers do put a lot of effort into their designs, and what have you, and it can get confusing if, you know, whose bag pattern are you talking about and what have you. So when you're talking about a specific bag pattern designer and it's just talking about their bag patterns, I totally get that. But yeah, I was kind of talking about when, you know, you can only post about this on a Tuesday and you can only post about this on a Saturday. And yeah, and yeah, it was just, I just wanted to sort of have a sort of free reign group where really it was only sort of be kind and, you know, offer constructive constructive criticism when asked. And yeah, that's pretty much the only rules that I sort of wanted to have. And you know, they've been slightly tweaked if we have had any issues, but like I say, I can only actually think of 3 off the top of my head. So I need to order some strap ends from you from the Studio 77 club pattern. Feel free. Arlene's laughing with soup. I could talk all day about sewing and crafting. Unfortunately, my friends are not into crafting and look lost and I start talking about sewing. Yeah, it can be a little bit difficult. I just kind of brainwash all of mine. It tends to work. I've brainwashed Andy pretty much into he has actually took up sewing a little bit. He's he started with a couple of things, cutting some jeans to pieces and making a few bags, and then he started actually working off his own dimensions and putting some bags together, a couple of duffel bags. I am actually going to look at making a video on some of them, talking through, you know, how he's worked some of them out. Whether I can talk him into being on it or not, we'll see. I might just ask him what he sort of his processes were and sort of talk about them. We'll look at it. But yeah, he's done really well. He's top stitching. I don't know whether you saw, I put a little bit of a reel out on Instagram and I think I put it on YouTube as a short. His top stitching was amazing. Took me years to master that, and the lines were so straight. If you haven't seen it on either my Instagram or my YouTube shorts, go and have a look at it. It's like absolutely unreal. And I can't even say it's because he's part of any of the Facebook communities or anything, because he's not on Facebook. So we can't even put that one down to community. So Sue's saying she left some of the groups because the rules are so restrictive. I mean, so, yeah, some of them really can be. I have a few patterns for bags, but still worried about starting. I'm fine for dressmaking. What I'd say, Sheila, is just start. Pick one that's simple and just start. Read the pattern. I did a video I'm going to plug one of my videos. I did some top tips for beginner bag makers. Go and have a watch of it, because, you know, watch hours. But read the pattern. Sit with a cup of tea and have a read of the pattern. Take your time. There's no rush, and just follow what the pattern says. Use the interfacings and everything that the pattern says, but just take your time. There's no rush. And just choose one that's not too difficult. Even if it looks really simple and you think, well, that looks really easy, I think I can do, you know, one that's a little bit harder. Choose one that's probably below your pay grade, so to speak, because it'll build your confidence. And then move on to something, you know, above your pay grade, so to speak, and go from there. Andy says, sorry, I'm out at the minute. I've lost count the amount of machines you had. I wouldn't even start counting the patterns. No, don't do that. So, hope to see something he's made on the Facebook page. Yeah, I'll take a picture and add it. Like I say, Andy doesn't have Facebook. He doesn't do social media. He is in the other group. So I've just actually started another group, which is Bag Maker Society Club. So I used to have a Patreon group, which Patreon is just a nightmare. They're so, oh God, they just make it so hard. So I've moved that off Patreon and moved it onto my website, and it's been renamed the Bag Maker Society Club. And on that we do like the weekly sew-alongs, and I do master classes, and it's just a bit more in depth than what's on YouTube and that sort of thing. And Andy's in there because he helps me sort of admin and what have you. So I've posted a couple of times in there, like some quick sort of snapshots and what have you of some of the bags as they've been coming along, and I've took a few sneaky pictures as he's been sewing at one of my machines. But like I say, he doesn't have Facebook, so he's actually only in the other group. But yeah, like I say, he's been doing well. But I will post some other pictures on the page at some point. Sheila's saying just try simple pouch, which hopefully should teach you some basics. Yeah, and utilize YouTube, asking the Facebook groups if there's anything that you're unsure of. If you're using a specific pattern and that pattern designer has a Facebook group, asking that Facebook group, or asking a general group if you're unsure. If one of the other things that, because I've got myself some little notes here, if you go to any sewing groups, so one of the other communities that I actually really love as well is in-person communities. So I run socials once a month near me, and it's one of the things I look forward to each month is that in-person event and meeting up with everybody who comes to the event. It's usually mostly the same people, but every now and then we get a newbie along, and it's very exciting. And it's so much fun. We drink tea, we eat cake, we usually eat a lot of cake, and we sew, or we cut out, or we just talk about what we want to be making. And like the socials that I run are usually focused around bag making, but you know, we sometimes dress make. Or Sylvia quite often will bring her embroidery machine along, especially sometimes if she's trying to encourage me to make something on my embroidery machine. There's one of the other ladies sometimes that comes who has her embroidery machine as well, and it's just lovely. I'm not sure if Sylvia's still on, but she'll hopefully comment as well. It's just such a lovely atmosphere, and we just have the full day sewing, or sometimes not sewing, and chatting about sewing and bag making, or if we're cutting something out and we're not sure of our placement of how we're going to cut it out. And yeah, Sylvia's saying she's still here. It's just such a lovely atmosphere, and we can, like what one of the ladies was saying earlier on in the comments about, not being able to talk to our friends about crafting and so on because they just glaze over and they've got no idea what they're talking about. It can be lovely to be in the same room as somebody, or multiple other people who know what you're talking about, or who understand what you're talking about, or the frustration of your machine not working, or not understanding a part of the pattern. It's just really, really lovely. Does anybody else go to a crafting group or a sewing group? Or is there any round where you live? Have you wanted to go to one, been a little bit nervous to go to one, or Tracy's saying, do I make any bags in leather? I have done. I've made quite a few bags in leather. Must have missed that one earlier on. Oh, going back to that one, Grumpy's saying he's got 5 bags I can showcase. He didn't comment about whether he would make a video with me. I'll work on him. Donna's saying she drags herself to do events. It's a social life. Sheila says, thanks Sue and Deb. I will have to ask Emma and Mel. So Emma is a pattern designer. So yeah, Emma's got quite a few beginner patterns. So definitely check them out. Donna's saying, I used to go to a knitting and crocheting group. That's a really nice group to go to as well, because you can just kind of sit back and knit and chat, or crochet and chat. I cannot knit or crochet to save my life at all. My mum is an absolutely amazing knitter and crochet. I should just point out, because I know we've got a couple of ladies who aren't a couple of people who aren't from the UK. Mam, I say mam instead of mum. Mam is a northern term for mum. She's an amazing knitter and crocheter. It just totally bypassed me. That jean did not hit my jean pool at all. Can't do it to save my life. Tracy says, none near me. That's why online community is so important to me. So where are you from, Tracy? Which part of the UK? Eileen says, don't do social groups in person, but enjoy the community of the group. I'm such a loner. Yeah. I find I used to be a real social butterfly, and I am still to a certain degree. Pre-COVID, I was never ever in. Hardly's ever used to be in the house. Then COVID hit. My mental health took a real toll, like an absolute real toll. And I'm still recovering, like still absolutely recovering. And I'm a different person. Like I am so much more of a loner. And I always joke on that I spend far too much time with Grumpy, because he is not a sociable person at all. But I'm so much of a less sociable person. I'm more sociable than Andy. I'll call him by his proper name, not Grumpy. But I'm less of a sociable person now than I was before. And I definitely find that whenever I do anything social, I need to recover. Like I kind of need, like I use up my social battery and then I need to kind of recharge. Where pre-COVID, being social recharged my battery, and when I wasn't social, that depleted my battery, and now it's the other way around. It's so weird. But I blame Grumpy. It wasn't. It was COVID, but we'll blame Grumpy. So yeah, so Melanie runs Surrey Sews, and this is actually a perfect opportunity to bring me on to something I've got in my notes here. If you're on Instagram, I'm not sure if they have a Facebook page, and I'm going to go and check it out, and I will go on and update the description of this video. It has been really ad hoc, so I'm so sorry if this live today has been a little bit all over. It has been really on the hoof, so we'll go in and update the description. It may be tomorrow because I'm really quite tired today, but there is a page on Instagram, and I'm sure it's called the Socials Directory, and socials as in SEWCIAL, and they update all of the socials going on all over the place. It's an amazing page. So if you're looking for like a social group to go to, check it out, because they're just, and Surrey Sows is on there as well, but I will link to the Surrey Sows as well. It's just a fab resource. I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. And oh, there's my camera gone again. It's sick of me. It's like, Deb, go to bed. Let these people go. But yeah, and I think it was through Surrey Sows that I originally saw the socials directory, and I just thought, what a brilliant page that is to base it. It's like a yellow pages for social groups. How cool, how cool. But yeah, definitely go and check out the Surrey Sows. And like a little pre-thing, go and check out Melanie's page if you don't already, because she's an amazing sewer, and she does like sewing things all over the place as well. She does loads of community sewing for loads of different community groups. She's fab. I love her. I got to meet Mel at the Stitch Festival doing helping Emma out for her the Studio 77 event, so she holds a special place in my heart. So Tracy's in Nottinghamshire. I'll do a little bit of digging for you. So Donna says, I'm a tester for a few crochet pattern designers. Not that fun trying to make a king size Afghan in 6 weeks. I couldn't even make a square in 6 weeks, Donna, so I take my hat off to you. Melanie says we're having an afternoon tea event called Sophisticated. That is mint. In October in Woking, open to all, fun community and fundraising are our aims. I'd say they are amazing aims to have. Grumpy, I am sociable, me, myself and I. I'm not even going to comment on that like Andy. Louise Evans, my first time joining you. Louise, it's so lovely to have you. I hope you've really enjoyed what you've caught. Really nice to have you. Sylvia's just laughing. I don't know what you're laughing at, but I hope whatever I said. Yeah, to be fair, Sylvia, like, you know, there's probably something about what I've said about the socials. Because yeah, we're always laughing at them socials, aren't we? They're just so much fun. I just love them. I look forward to them. I miss having them in August. I really do. We don't have them in August because the venue shuts down, and because the people who run the venue have August off. And I so miss them in August. I can't wait to have the next one in September. 15th of September, Pension Masonic Hall. Come and join us. You can book in on my website. Little plug there. Donna says, know that feeling. I miss people until I've done a 3D event. Then, as you said, my people filter gets clogged and I've had enough. Yeah. I mean, I'm the same. Like, I find, even though like being around people who I really enjoy being around, like I love, but like I get drained, and I need to kind of recharge, and then I'm ready for people again. Like, people think I'm really, like, I am really sociable, and people actually think I'm really confident, and I'm not. Like, I'm actually really not. Susan, welcome Louise. Tracy saying, welcome Louise. Thank you for making Louise feel so like welcome. Melanie saying, no Facebook group, just Instagram. Is that for the social directory? Cool. Donna saying, not usually such an in real life social groups in rural Norfolk. Yeah. Welcome aboard, Louise. Sylvia's just laughing at Grumpy. Obviously, Sylvia knows Grumpy really well in real life. Donna says, my first time catching you live. Cool. Sylvia says, thought it was the last one. No, that is the online social. So that's the online social in the club. The 15th is the in-person one at Penshire. Sorry to confuse you. That was because I confused myself booking them both in on the same day. I'll drop you an email, Sylvia, to keep you right. That was totally my fault because I got myself confused. Thank you, menopause. Julie says, I'm surrounded by customers at work, so sewing on my own is on my own. It's my therapy. Yeah. I think I'm kind of the other way sometimes, because although obviously my business is community, like I'm online community all of the time. I'm on my own all of the time. Like I work on my own all of the time. So sometimes I kind of have to force myself to go out in the world. Like sometimes I actually don't leave the house for days at a time. Like I'm gonna make a little bit of a confession here. So when I went to Birmingham, when did I go to Birmingham? When was the Festival of Quilts? Beginning of the month? I filled my car up because I was going to drive, and then I decided to get the train. Big mistake. Huge. I filled my car up. It's still full. Hasn't moved. I mean, mainly because I make Grumpy take me everywhere. But yeah, it's still full tank. Now Grumpy's going to make me give him some petrol money, isn't he? But yeah, it's still full. I've still got a full tank of petrol because I don't go anywhere. So yeah, sometimes I do need to make myself go out in places. So that is one of the reasons why I do really enjoy the in-person social events, because it's quite a lot of the time that I don't actually see people from, well, other than obviously my husband and my children and my stepchildren, that and the delivery guys, I don't see people at all. So that's what, like I'd say, I do really enjoy the social, like in-person events, and because we have such a connection of something that we love, and fabric. Who doesn't love fabric? Who doesn't love talking about fabric? So yeah, Sylvia's saying glad we cleared that up. So yeah, in-person event 15th of September and online social 29th of September. I'll tag you in the events rather than email. I'll just tag it in the events and then we'll know. So Louise is saying thank you, everybody. Yes, thank you for making Louise feel so welcome. That's really appreciated. Sylvia would hate to miss it. It's all right, Sylvia. Just, you know, drive to your house and drag you there. Don't worry about it. Sue says, can I ask what I can use to make a template from paper pattern? I have to keep printing the pattern off, as I hate to trim a little bit off each time. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 tips here. One, you can use like clear cutting board, like, you know, like what you would use to, like kitchen cutting board, draw around it and use that. Or the laminate it. But my other tip is I don't use my rotary cutter up against my template, because even being really careful with those things, you will still trim off a little bit anyway. So I would draw around. So I would put my template on, I would draw around on my interfacing, and then you're gonna go, Deb, you're such, like, you make such hard work, but I'm going to tell you why I do this. So I would draw around my interfacing, and then I would fussy cut around my interfacing. So I would leave a tiny little bit around where I've drawn. I would then interface that to my fabric, and then I would cut it out fully. And the reason being is, if I cut my interfacing and then cut my fabric, your fabric has a likelihood to shrink back. So if you cut your fabric and your interfacing separately, they could end up as 2 different sizes. So if you fuse them together and then cut them out, they'll be the same. I hope that makes sense.
but that's always the way that I do it, and then they end up the same size. I hope that makes sense. Takes a tiny little bit longer, but not much, because actually technically you're still only making 2 cuts rather than 3, but hey ho. You do need to get out. That's why I've always had a dog. Yeah, I have 2 dogs, but they're lazy. And one has heart failure, so he can't really walk very far. And I can't take one without the other. I have to get out and walk her twice a day. I prefer my own company and my own home boring, I know. Yeah. Is the online social a paid event? Yeah. It's only a few pound a month. I'll put a link in the description box down below. But we do weekly so-alongs, monthly socials, monthly masterclasses, and I do chatty vlogs. So kind of a little bit like this, but not live. I just kind of do vlogs where it's a bit more personal, kind of chat about what's going on in the background. And I'll kind of chat a little bit more about not really personal stuff, but you know, family life and that sort of thing that I don't chat about on YouTube for the worldwide world to know about. Got my dad to make me perspex patterns for my self-drafted bags. Okay. Would he like another daughter? Because yeah, I'm up for being adopted. If he wants another daughter, I'm game. Tracy Bingham, great tip. Yeah, I started doing that a couple of years ago with my interfacing, and it's worked great. Thank you, great advice. Glad it was helped. I've stuck my pattern to cardboard, then drawn around it and cut it out. Yeah, that's another great tip. And if you're anything like me, I've always got loads of cardboard. So if anybody's local to me and needs cardboard keeping, I'll keep it for you. That's absolutely no problem. And Donna, great tip. I must try that next time. I've always struggled with matching cut interface into pattern pieces. Yeah. So yeah, I tend to either cut, if I'm going to be using something an awful lot, I'll cut it out of template. If I'm not sure if I'm going to use it a lot, I'll laminate it, and then if I do tend to use it a lot, I'll then template it. So yeah, I think I've kind of gone over all of the little notes that I had. I hope you've kind of enjoyed our little chat about community as much as what you're looking forward to chatting about sewing machine maintenance. Fingers crossed, I can reschedule Katie in a few weeks' time after she's had a holiday and she's feeling better. Like I say, wishing Katie all the get well wishes, and hoping she has a lovely holiday still and that she's feeling better by the time that she goes. Next week we have the lovely Emma from Studio 77. God knows how this is going to go. Obviously me and Emma are friends in real life, so maybe's put aside a couple of hours, because we all know I can talk. And when me and Emma get together, as Mel will testify, yeah, we'll have fun. We'll have fun. Everybody's saying good night. I'm so glad that the chat was good fun. I'm not going to lie, I was bricking it. Because when I was recording the podcast on my own, just kind of audio, on my own, I'm not going to lie, I found it really quite difficult because you've kind of got nobody to bounce off. But you've kept me kind of going with comments, and it has been absolutely fantastic. It is something that I'm really passionate about, is the power of community. I think community is an absolute amazing thing, and it is something that I will always be really passionate about. If none of yous, obviously it is a UK group, but if you're expat, you're more than welcome as well. But if you're not already in the UK Bag Makers Community Facebook group, do please come and join us. I will post a link to the club, if you do want to come and join us, like I say, it is only a few pound a month. We do lots of fun things in there. Come check it out. You don't it's month by month. You sign up for however long you want. By all means, come and check it out. If you're local and you want to come along to one of the meetups, again, feel free. You are more than welcome anytime. And next week I will see you with the lovely Emma. Fingers crossed Emma's not poorly next week, because there is lots going around at the moment. Donna says, it's been a lovely change from my usual evenings. It's been so lovely to have you. She says, Emma's great. She is. It will be fun, Sue. Eileen says, unexpected, but a great way to spend an evening. Thank you and good night. Julie says, you did a great job. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go and get a fresh cup of tea, because that one's gone cold, and I'm going to go and chill out for a bit. So until next week, thank you very much for joining me. See you soon and have a lovely week. Bye.